John, how old is that young guy up there on the
Hey,
screen?
just watch that. That stick is right there.
30 something.
Okay,
I'm not sure exactly.
Young kid.
Let's see. Oh, excuse me. Lost the hearing aid, so. There you go. So to start with, I was asked to go to experimental aircraft in February, I guess, to talk a little bit. And I said, what do you want to talk about? And he said, I don't know, just, I'm not sure whether you got my name and how I got into it, but I got there. And this is all I knew how to talk about, so you got to hear it again. As it turned out, I thought there were going to be 20, 30 people there. And as it turned out,
oh my.
there were 200 seats and people standing, so it was a little bigger than I thought. So this is what where can I get so people can sit here? So you can have some idea. The screen was about four times bigger than this. It was really nice. It turned out very nicely. So, and then we're talking about Jolly Green, which is HH-53 helicopter, which I flew in Vietnam in 1968. And basically that's what this talk is going to be about, how that year went. But the question was, how did the name Jolly Green ever show up? And what happened early on,
Excuse me, John.
when they made the first rescues,
We're gonna,
John, excuse me, I'm gonna come over here
Now
so I
they'll
can
hear
hear you a
you.
little better.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
you can put my helmet on if you want.
do I get to sit next to
Hi, you bet.
So when
That big comfortable chair.
one of the first rescues happened, the guy was injured, he bailed out. He was injured laying on the ground, flat on his back. And H-53 came over, and he couldn't get up by himself. So we sent the pararescue guy down on a hoist, and finally got him in a basket. And the injured guy looked up and saw, what is that great Jolly Green doing up there? No, the Green Giant doing up there. So that's where the Green Giant came from. And it stuck. And then later on, the Green Giant Vegetable Company helped us and gave us all kinds of support and goodies. But I don't know, I'm not used to these technical things. Well, there we go. So, this is Lieutenant Colonel John Duffy, USAF, retired. And you can call me John or Colonel. And my grandkids call me Grumpy, so that works out, whatever you want to use. And I was a combat rescue helicopter pilot in Vietnam in all of 1968. And this is the call sign, as we heard. Oh, I'm going to get this right yet.
Gotta go the other way.
Oh, okay. So I joined the Air Force for lots of reasons, but anyway, I joined the Air Force. And my primary reason was I wanted to go to pilot training and fly Air Force airplanes. And I went and signed up, but I realized I couldn't go to jet school because it was full. The only thing I could do at that time was become a navigator. So I went to become a navigator, and they promised me after 5 years I'd be able to go to pilot training and do what I wanted to do. But it turned out the pilot training was 12 months long, 9 to 12 months, really a fast-paced, hard-going program. You had morning academics, afternoon flying. In the evening, you try to figure out what a sextant was and what the stars were all about. And you do that for 9 or 12 months, and your head is kind of fuzzy. So I became a rated navigator. I'll get it right eventually.
What kind of plane is
And,
that?
and this is the aircraft that I flew as my first assignment as an aircraft
Okay.
crew member. And basically, this is a refueling aircraft. It was a commercial aircraft. They took them and turned them into tankers. They put a boat inside full of tanks. They had a boom that comes out the back here. We'll see more of that a little bit later. And 4 piston engines. Piston engines, you know what that is? And they had big propellers that went around. Well, that's what that's all about. And cruising speed was about 200 knots, which is not very fast. And trying to keep up with the refueling aircraft was always a problem. Okay, so that first assignment had a helicopter, I mean, had a navigator training. We went to the Thule Air Force Base, which is up north of the Arctic Circle in Greenland. And that was before Trump even talked about buying it. And the problem was, this was way before GPS. People didn't have a clue what that was. And there were no navigation aids. So, and the other problem was, it was right on the border of Russia. And Russia was listening to us all the time on the radio if they could. So in fact, we were radio silent. Now you consider now, this aircraft coming out of Russia, it's been on a reconnaissance, and then he wants to refuel. And we have a spot picked out, but there's no way we can talk to each other. So we had some coordinates going on, and we tried to get there. And the tanker always got there way ahead, and we'd orbit and orbit and orbit, and hopefully the aircraft would show up.
That was a,
I'm not sure what that is, but
Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, let me see.
okay, well. Got one more.
Try it again. Click timing. Good, click down.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, if you probably never thought about it, but at the top of the world, these are lines of longitude, and they all come together, and they, at the point in the North Pole, they're all together. So how do you plot something like that on a map? It's just not very good. So we had that problem to worry about. And we had no radar targets. We had radar in the aircraft, and the only targets were ice flows down in the water. So there's a big target, what is that? Well, it's a big ice flow. And then the question is, what's the coordinates of it? And you didn't know where the hell it was, you didn't know where you were either. So that was one major problem. During the months that we were up there, we had refuelings 2 or 3 times a week, I guess. And we missed one refueling. And after that refueling, I thought, and I was the navigator, I was the guy to get us at the spot to make sure that we were there to give this guy fuel. And eventually we got to the point where we were low on fuel and we couldn't stay any longer. So we flew back to the base and we ended up getting debriefed. And they took all my information and replied it. And I thought, geez, what's going to happen? and eventually they said, okay, you're free to leave. And we left. And weeks later, I saw a report of all the aircraft that were lost to Russia during the Cold War. And I looked at my nav log, and the one that was lost was the day that we were there. And I felt a relief on one end, but on the other end, 3 or 4 guys got killed. Not a good thing. Another difficulty was, let me go back to this one for a minute. Like, if you ever thought about it, probably you haven't. Magnetic North Pole is south of the real North Pole. So that means you don't have a compass. You don't have a magnetic compass to work with. So that was another problem. And that was less than a year out of nav school. That was a real education for me. And we were in the wintertime, darkness. Had to go out to find the airplane with a flashlight. And of course, since the magnetic North Pole was south of the real North Pole, the compasses were not worth much of anything. So this is an RB-47, and this is the aircraft, and right here is a refueling receptacle, and here is the boom coming out of the tanker. So this guy had to fly really tight formation on the aircraft we were flying. And the boom operator had to get this boom over here without breaking the canopy or doing other damage. And if it's calm air, it's not, it's doable, but it's not always calm air. So this is what it looks like in a refueling situation. And he's hanging on the jet props, jet engines, and we're pushing as fast as we could to get up to good refueling speed.
Okay.
So
So that's a flying fuel tanker, right?
pardon?
That's a flying fuel?
Oh yeah, we're providing jet fuel to the reconnaissance aircraft. So it could fly for, just before they left, they would refuel, be full, and then just as they came back, we'd refuel them. And they could, go for quite a long time.
John, what's your typical altitude when you link up with the plane? You're from 25,000 feet?
Well, it depends on the clouds a lot. If you're in IFR, a cloudy condition, then you try to get out of that.
Right.
Or you try to get where the clouds are broken and you have enough time to make contact. If you make contact and you're flying formation like that, you just need a couple of feet and you can stay with the other aircraft.
Right.
So where would you suspect we go after Greenland? How about Saudi Arabia?
Oh,
Right then into the fire.
And this is a little picture, better picture of the boom. And you can see the big propellers hanging out there. And the name for this aircraft, we call it the Boeing trimotor. And that's because frequently one of these big guys would stop. But the good news was it could fly nicely on 3 engines. And the other part of the good news is if we were heavy and we couldn't fly too well on 3 engines, we could dump fuel out here and we could dump it fast. And so we could recover and fly at its altitude and a weight that we could stand.
John, how long did it take to refuel a plane?
That's a good question, and it's a big answer because it depends how much fuel we take. But probably anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes or something like that. And it basically, it's just formation. It's just got to stay in formation. And the easy part is for the tanker. We just flew straight and low. And the hard part is for the bomber. He's got to be tucked in, and that changes after a while. I'll talk about it. So I finally wanted to get to pilot training. So this is 5 years later, and I got selected to a pilot training. And the first aircraft I flew in, whoops, was this one here called a T-28. And I was thinking, but puddle jumper like that, that won't be any fun. But it was a great joy to fly. And once we got, I don't know, several hours of this, they put us in the teeth every 3, and that's a jet. I finally got the jets. And it was a dog. It had one engine, and it was an early version. And can you see?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
When you wanted to apply power to the engine, you have to apply it very gently. If you had a car and you push the throttle to the floor, it would stall. Well, that happens here. If an emergency, all of a sudden you had to climb from here to here, and you went like that, the engine would stop flying up. So it was 8 seconds between flight idle and max power. 8 seconds is an eternity. So anyway, I fell out of love with that aircraft very quickly. And this is the aircraft that I learned to fly helicopters in. But in this case, the doors are open, so you really can't see what it looks like. But it was an aircraft that if you could fly this, you could fly anything. So at the time I left helicopter training, I was pretty proficient at flying anything.
Were you required to take the helicopter path rather than the fighters?
Well,
bombers?
no. My primary goal was to get into helicopters.
Oh, okay.
And the way I wanted to do that, I wanted to go directly to helicopters, but they didn't. At that time, you had to be a fixed-wing pilot first, so you could fly instruments, and that was the main purpose of it. And then at that time, this was the only aircraft that you could learn how to fly in, and it was underpowered. It was something else. But okay, so what we're here to talk about is a rescue mission in Vietnam in 1968. And this is a primary strike aircraft, which is an F-4 Phantom. A really good airplane. I tried to have flown it myself, but talking to the pilots that have flown it was good. Now, one of the problems that we had, too soon. The bombs were not guided bombs. The pilot looked at the target, said this is about right, and pushed the button, and let the bombs go away. And some of them hit the target, some of them did. So we had a lot of missions were basically not successful. Okay, now this is a C-130. If you're old enough, you probably remember TWA had these flying back in the 50s or 40s or whatever, I'm not sure. And I never cared for the 121, I'm not sure why. But on one of the missions, coming back, I got a call from the 120, and it said, and my call sign was Jolly Green 10. It said, Jolly 10, we had a MiG that just took off from China, and he appears to be heading for your 6 o'clock. Being my 6 o'clock, I'd be here, and my 6 o'clock is the tail. And basically that's where the hot exhaust comes out of the helicopter. There are 2 jet engines. Hot exhaust comes out, and the MiG can lock onto that and push a button, and the missile comes right at you. So what to do? I'm not sure what altitude it was at the time, but I said, Roger that. And I looked around to see what I could do to avoid being a target. So we ended up, off in the distance, was a rain shower. It looked like a fairly big thunderstorm. And my thought was, I put the nose down, pulled max power in, and flew right into the thunderstorm. Well, actually, it turned out not to be a thunderstorm. It was just a very heavy rainstorm. So once I got into that, then all of the IR exhaust coming out my back end was negated because of the water from the rainstorm. And then I got a call from 121. It seemed like an hour, 2 hours later, but it was probably only 10 minutes. And we ended up saying, okay, well, that's great. Now we're free of him. 121, how the hell do I get home? I didn't know where I was. I had no navigation whatsoever. Stuck in this cloud, I was going in circles. And so and they gave me a heading, and they tracked me down until I got someplace I had recognized, like close to the Mekong River or something. So I like them down there, very nice. Okay, and this is called a Sandy. It's an A1 Raider fighter from World War II. And you can see it's loaded with all kinds of munitions. And basically, rescue helicopter didn't go anywhere without 2 or 4 of these guys right on the tail, making sure that nobody's going to get us. Or if they've got ground fire, they'd wipe the ground fire out for us. A really fantastic airplane. And this is the helicopter, H-53. I won't spend too much time on it, but this is a probe where we could air refuel, and we'll do more of that in a minute. And this is a refueling tank. We had extra fuel tanks on either side. And this is a jet engine here, and there's a jet engine on the other side. So we were putting out, a jet engine puts a lot of exhaust out. So anytime someone's got track on your IR, you gotta watch out. And this is a landing gear which retracts up and down.
How fast did it go with a jet engine?
Pardon?
How fast would it go with a jet engine?
Oh, with jet engines? Well, I think the max speed was less than 200, 175 or something like that. But the limiting factor is not the jet engines. Limiting factor is rotor blades.
Oh.
And you have to keep the rotor blades subsonic. If the rotor blades get supersonic, the tips get supersonic first, and then that sends a vibration from the tip all the way here, and you don't last more than a few seconds maybe. So, okay, this is from inside the Jolly Green. Look at another Jolly Green. And this is a minigun which we used to support ourselves. And the minigun was a fearful thing. It had 3 speeds, had 2,000 rounds a minute, 4,000 rounds a minute, 6,000 rounds a minute. Well, we never used it high end because we ran out of ammunition. But in any case, if anybody was shooting at us from down here, maybe you'd see a couple of flashes. Normally the Sandy would be right there, and Sandy would take him out. But if not, we'd let this guy go. And instead of aiming it like a rifle, you aimed it like a garden hose. And you'll see in a minute, it has tracer bullets that come out here. It just shows you the stream of the bullets, and you know where it's hitting the ground. So.
John, is that 20 millimeter or 50 cal?
7.62.
Ah.
Know what the hell that is, I don't know.
7.62.
Okay, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the Sandys. Just, they're right there. You mess with my helicopter, we're going to shoot you down. And the problem was we're flying 1,000 feet. If you fly above 10,000 feet, then you're subject to MiGs coming from all directions, or you're subject to surface-to-air missiles, which we had a very poor capability to track surface-to-air missiles. But you can, if you turn the low-frequency radio to the right frequency, and you hear a hum sound, and the hum sound was zip, zip, zip. You know that somebody on the ground is searching for somebody. And all of a sudden, if you hear zip, 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 he's got me. And he's locked onto me as a target. So then you got to figure out what the hell to do next. And the best thing to do at that point was to go down and hide behind a mountain and squeak away if you could. Okay, so daily mission looked like this. We'd be up at 4 in the morning, pre-flight briefing, take off at 8:30. And we'd fly for 6 to 8 hours on this. We had 3 different strikes I talked about earlier. And we had to make sure that we were on, if we knew a strike was here, we'd orbit over here. So when he came off the strike, we'd be very close to him in case he had a bailout. So,
No autopilot in those days?
not an autopilot as you think of it, but it was really a good airplane in that it had altitude control. And it's a good question. I'll answer more of it later. When I got through with this program, I was assigned as a test pilot and program manager to fix all the shortcomings, and that was one of them. We'll go through that. So, all right. Now, what state is that? I don't know. The state of confusion is what it is. Well, this, I got it. Pushed the wrong button. This is North Vietnam. This is Laos. This is South Vietnam. And this is, let me get it up here. And this is China up here. So we would be mainly stationed here in Thailand. And in the same aircraft we saw the fighters and the refueling aircraft basically living here. So in the morning we would, after this briefing, we would take off from here and fly across this part of Laos, which is, they said it's neutral. But when somebody tells you it's neutral, you don't listen, don't pay attention. You say, that's not right. Because the neutral guys, that means nobody's in charge of anything except the bad guys. So we got across there as quick as we could. And then normally the targets are up here. It's the target, Haiphong and Hanoi. And basically all the cargo that came in, the guns and bullets from Russia and China, came in through the Tonkin Straits up into here. And they dumped everything out. So our main targets were here. We tried to destroy the docks and whatever else needed to be destroyed. And then once they were, if they were safely on shore, they'd come down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And Ho Chi Minh Trail, we tried to bomb it and knock things out, but the canopy of the trees was 200 feet high, and the visibility was just not good enough to do much. So that a lot of information, a lot of munitions and so forth got down here. So, okay, we'll pretend this were our first day of the first flight, H-53, and we're going to be using the air refueling probe, and this extends about 10-15 feet. It's supposed to extend 10-15 feet. It doesn't always. And this is the refueling tank I showed earlier. The gear is down now, and this is just support back here in case you pull the nose up too high. This hits the ground before the tail rotor does. If you lose the tail rotor, you're in deep trouble. So this is the same day, and we're off to work. Oops. We're off to work here. And this is a probe. And this is a low helicopter, and this is a high helicopter. This is Thailand, the Mekong River, and this is Laos, which is supposedly neutral. And this is going across the Mekong, which is a huge, fast-flowing river. And the best thing that we could do when we were flying was get the hell across that river before you happen to have a problem and get into it. Because if you're in the water, it just, you're gone. So the first thing, once we got up in the air and we got over the river, we go to a thorough check to make sure that we have everything working as much as you can anyway. So we do some air refueling checks. Oops. Air refueling checks. And this is refueling on the right wing. And this is inside the cockpit. Whoops. There we go. This is great. Okay, and this is a C-130 air refueling tanker. And this would be a drogue over here. And when we would fly, we put our probe into here, and then they dump fuel from here out. Well, let me take a different story just for a minute. We'll use the 130 as the main subject. I was flying back from the north some other time, a different mission. And coming back, noticed that the fuel was a lot lower than it should be. And I continued to watch it, and I kept going lower and lower. So I called, and before I could get a tanker, I'd have to call Saigon headquarters. And I said, Saigon, this is Jelly 10. I've got low fuel. I need a tanker right away. And they said, hold on. Seems like I held on for 2 days, but it was probably 10, 15 minutes. They came back and said, we are not allowed to, can't send any tankers up there. There's too much MiG activity. So there I was with the fuel going down. What the hell happens? So just minutes later, I got a call from a C-130, and the C-130 guy said, I didn't hear that communications from Saigon that said we shouldn't go up there. But you keep going south, head to Lima 98, and I'll head north to Lima 98, and we'll meet you. So that's a question recently people said, what happens if you get an indirect order, or an order that's not for real? Well, this guy got an order that he's not supposed to fly up there, but he knew if he didn't, he'd lose the crew. And he flew up, and then we finally got together, and we're flying it. Normally, if I refuel at 10,000, we're up at 14,000 feet. It's kind of like mixing mashed potatoes. It's not very good, but we were hanging in there. And so I went in to hook up to make sure that my probe was in here. And I told you earlier about the probe would extend 15 feet. It didn't extend 15 feet. It was stuck at the short level. So didn't have any choice. We continued to move in. And if you look at this, this is what the probe, whoops, I'll get this right yet. This is what the probe into the drogue. And if you look up here, this is the horizontal stabilizer on the 130. And these are the rotor blades.
Mm-hmm.
So we were how far? But you know, what choice did you have? Either took fuel in and got the hell out of there. And so we refueled. And as we refueled, I kept backing the power off a little bit and back it off. And finally got to the point where I noticed that the probe was extending. It was stuck into the drogue. And sure enough, I came back into the normal refueling position. And then we headed south to our home base. And then we ended up there. And I never had a chance to talk to the 130 pilot. I wrote a letter to the squadron describing all this, but I never got a response back. I didn't expect one. But he just had his neck way up. So we appreciate that. And this is, if you think we weren't close, this is taken from inside the 130. And this, I'm going to learn how to do this yet. And this is the probe into the drogue. And it's tight. So, but when I talked to the pilot of the aircraft, I told him that the probe didn't extend, so just hang on as tight as you could. And he had it rock solid. And it made it easier for me. So.
Do you suppose he got reprimanded when he got back for doing this?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't,
I
I
think,
shouldn't, but.
I think nobody knew about it except he and I.
Oh, okay.
And,
Instant news.
and we were up, way up in the north part of Vietnam or wherever the hell we were. Who knows? I didn't know. And ended up, just getting refueled. And he took us all the way back to Thailand. And I was in a couple of miles from Thailand and said, "Okay, Jelly, you got it."
Wow.
Was it purely a visual approach, or was there some type of sight that you could use in the cockpit as to where the airplane should be?
It's not where the airplane should be. It's where you are compared to the drone.
Yes.
But that's a good question. And only sight you have is right there. And I was in the very beginning when we were getting this whole system to work. And so we had the drogues come out, and we could never figure how this white foil should be. It was actually a material, like a parachute material. We could never figure out what that should be so that when it came out it would be steady. And we never did figure that out. But we did figure out that we got it to rotate in a continuous arc, and it continued to rotate. So rotating in a continuous arc, and pretty soon, once it's there, you need to move forward, so when it gets up here, you make contact. It was not a solid target. But you got to do it very, very quickly because you needed the fuel. Okay, this is just to show you what the terrain looks like in Laos. And if you went down the net, it's tough. Okay. Now this is part of the same terrain. And this is karst. And karst is limestone rock that sticks up in unbelievably unique situations. Some go straight up, some straight sideways. So it was something else. But there's one rock here, which you can't see from the picture, but it went up straight up and about that big around, and we used that as a guidepost because it's easily recognizable. So whenever we're in this position and somebody asked what our position was, we'd say this is Jolly Green, and we're 1 mile south of Peter Rock. If you know what that means. And then down here, we'd use the same thing. We'd come down this, or whichever way we were going. And if we got into this area, we're 2 miles from Twin Moves. Okay. Forgive me if that's not good. Okay, this is, I don't know how we do it on time here.
Good.
This is part of Laos again, and you can see the terrain is just unforgiving. But this is a gun emplacement, which sometimes is occupied by the North Vietnamese, sometimes occupied by the South. And this is a bit closer picture of it. There's no way you could fly over that because it's got altitude capability and has long-range rockets, which would take you right out. In my case, I would fly as low as I could beneath the depression angle of the guns and fly this way or fly as far away as I could, even if it took more time and effort. So, and I don't think we had anybody shot, no chopper shot down there that I know of. Okay, this is in the northern part of Laos, and this is the boom, and from here out it stretches another 10-15 feet. So if you're in that close like we showed in that one picture, it's pretty tight to the program. This is called Lima 36. And Lima 36 was a Hmong village, among many in that part of the world. And this, believe it or not, is a runway.
Oh,
We didn't need to worry about that, but basically what we did was we supported the people in this village and around the local area, so they would support us. And they would come in with all kinds of information from the north, which otherwise we didn't know. And the CIA set up a program, and it was called Air America, when civilian pilots were flying commercial aircraft. And the primary reason for that is to provide medication and food and any kind of support that these people would need. So as a result, they were friendly to us and they gave us all kinds of information as to what we could do to survive. And that's an aircraft that came in and it provided food and so forth up there. And frequently, well, I'll get to the next one first. And it's the same aircraft bringing food or whatever it was in. And the North Vietnamese didn't like that. So what they did, they got some Russian H-2 fixed-wing, old-fashioned fixed-wing biplanes. And they would fly as close as they could to where the food or stuff was being transferred from one aircraft to the next. And they dropped bombs out the window. And which, unfortunately, they weren't very accurate, but it doesn't make it very nice. So this is in that same village, and whoops, hang on a second. And these are drums of fuel, and we had to refuel this way for the first month or two because the C-130s were not up to speed and ready to take care of us. Now, if you could guess what the age of these people are, you probably.
12.
Well, they're full-grown men, and the biggest one I think would be 5 feet, and the rest of them are just kids. I mean, they look like kids, but they're full-grown. I mean, age-wise. So. And beside that, this is a family. And this is a typical family. The family had 6, 8, 7, 9, 10 kids, whatever. But then what else do you do with your time? Have kids. Okay, now this was in the northern Laos, up close to the northern Vietnamese border. This is a toilet latrine that we have. Now, isn't that's one of the best in town. Really good. So, and as you
Smell
can
nice, too.
see, people taking pot shots at it all the time. But we had a superb group of enlisted guys. And look what they did. They looked at fantastic.
Privacy.
And that old tin rack shack thing. And look at this. A toilet seat. Now you might complain because it's open to the public here, but that's not a problem. If it's open to the public and you don't like it, you just turn around and it's face the other way. You gotta use it, so. And that's one of the Russian aircraft that was shot down. And there were 2 of those. This is one of them. But there was no choice. But the minigun I talked about, just one like that, this thing is going. Okay. And this is the other one. And the CIA was really anxious to get the crew out of these aircraft to see what nationality they were. And I never got the answer to that question. And this is the minigun. It took a couple of and then those things were gone forever. And this is what the minigun looks like when it's firing. And all that is fire from incendiary bullets. And during the same time, we weren't totally immune. Whoops. There's a bullet hole here, and there's a couple down here. And fortunately, none of them connected too much to us. But there's a bullet hole here, and several here, and quite a few in this area. But you know, when the small arms like that hits the side of the aircraft, there's so much noise from the engines in front of the rotor, you don't hear anything or feel anything, because the vibration is just too much. So you act dumb, you are dumb, and that's what you're stuck with. This is a little closer. This hit the co-pilot seat and took apart some of the structure that was there. But it came through the window and into the seat. And the seat was armor plated, so it didn't do much, fortunately, damage. Okay, well, occasionally it did some damage. In this case, this aircraft had lost an engine, and this was in Laos. And if you lose an engine, now he was able to fly it and to land it, but with one engine out, he couldn't take off. So we had to get the engine repaired. I hope you can see okay.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
So they brought an engine in a helicopter. And I'm not sure how, I wasn't part of this operation, but it took this engine, whoops, I'll get to that eventually. They took this engine and they had to put it up there. So they took it out of the helicopter, and with the equipment they had, they found a way to put it up here and install it, and it was enough to get it off the ground. And otherwise we would have lost the helicopter. Anything at night in Laos is trash the next morning. Okay, this is what we came for. We came to rescue this guy. And he's an F-4 pilot, F-4 radar operator. And we were sitting on the runway back in Thailand. And as a result of this, you know, all the rescues and times that I went on the ground picking people up, I never met anybody that I picked up in the military. Because they get on the ground, they put them in an ambulance, they take them direct to the hospital, or sometimes we take them direct to the hospital, and they put them inside and get out of here. Which is okay, that's the main point.
Who's this guy doing the interviewing? Is that what he's doing?
Pardon?
Is that guy interviewing him or what?
Yeah, this guy here, he's on the ground and he's taking pictures. They try to take pictures and keep everything fairly organized so they can decide what they did wrong and what they did right. And the pictures help. That's the same few guys. Okay, there's the Jelly Green Giant. The Green Giant Food Company donated this and other to it. So once we had a rescue, like we picked this guy and brought him back to the base, we'd have a little stream of people that would get together. Have a little party. And now, this goes back a year earlier in December of '67. It was Christmas time, and I had just arrived. And we were, I don't recognize this guy or not. Bob Hope. And yeah, younger Bob Hope. And this is Bing Crosby's son. And this lady here, probably nobody knows except some older guys around, I'm not sure.
Oh, right there, right, Raquel Welch.
Like who?
Raquel Welch.
How old are you?
Well, see, it says right there, John.
There's certain things you don't forget anyway.
Well, she is our age now, so.
Yeah, well, we were their age too, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
And that's exactly right. And when we were standing there, I kept thinking to myself, how many people are going to be here next year? Because there were hundreds down in and I happened to be up at a higher spot. So it was wonderful to see him, but it was also kind of interesting to think what's ahead. And there's Raquel saying goodbye. Whoops. And that's Raquel. And that her name is that.
Shirt.
Have you got a video, Ken?
Oh, Ken.
Oh, the video?
Yeah?
Oh, I don't know.
No?
Yeah, I think we get one, I would think. Yeah, let me check. I saw videos when I came home, but I didn't get a chance to see those when I was there.
Pardon?
I saw the videos when I came home, but they never seemed to have a Christmas show where I was.
Oh.
Where would that video be? I'm trying to remember
Well, wait a minute, see if we...
where we put it. Let's see. File. Come on. Let's see. We have to get out of this. I don't think it's in this particular. Do we have more slides after this? Or is the video the last thing we do?
The video is the last thing.
Okay, good. I'm going to shut this off.
Who took all those pictures?
A whole bunch of people. I took some, my friends took some, and we passed them back and forth.
Oh.
Okay.
So while we're waiting for a minute, this is a flight suit, as you probably recognize. And it's a wonderful thing. To get in it, you just jump in there and pull the zipper up and you're ready to fly. It's wonderful. And it has all pockets all over the place. And the pockets are all accessible when you're sitting in a seat as a pilot. You know, you're up here, down here, and so they worked out quite well. And this was before GPS. And that's my computer. And the good part about it, the batteries never go dead. It's really nice. So, and having been a navigator before this was really helpful to me because there were virtually no navigation aids in that part of the world. And you couldn't do enough to stay away from the bad guys. So, I guess I would say 90% of my navigation was guesswork. But it worked.
They were educated guesses.
But
After
very
all
educated,
your-
yes.
After all your.
Yeah.
John, typical week, how many missions did you end up flying?
Well, I ended up flying 100 in some missions. One case of 106, and someone had told me they counted 130 something. I didn't pay, so I say 106. But in a week's time, it all depends on what the activity was. Whether the concentration was right there and you need a lot of flights on missions.
Right.
You might fly 2 or 3 a week, but like 1 or 2 or 3 a week would be enough. It's pretty, it's a little stressful. But the refueling part of it was just fantastic. We could do all kinds of things because of it. We would not have picked up a lot of guys had we not had the refueling. It all worked out.
So your range with full fuel is how many miles?
Full range?
Range, yeah, your flight range, yeah.
Well, it all depends, of course, on altitude and
Right.
all that sort of stuff. But I would think maybe 3 or 4 hours would be max. Now, if you're flying at minimal fuel consumption, maybe 4 hours.
Right.
And then anything more than that, you'd be sucking the fuel up. And
Right.
maybe
And what's the service ceiling on that?
service ceiling?
Yeah.
Well, according to Air Force regulation, you're not allowed to fly over 10,000 feet without oxygen.
Ah, yeah.
And when I was talking about that refueling a C-130, trying to get back to home, the clouds were at 14,000 feet. sucking air like a dump pump. And then beside that, doesn't handle very well. Aircraft is really sloppy muscle.
The number of aircrew that you saved or brought back, did you have a count?
I do not. I never, as I mentioned, I never met anybody personally. Some civilians I met that I picked up in the States or someplace else, and I could meet them, or they come find me and say thank you or whatever. But as far as the crew members, when they're down there in the hospital, then they're gone. And they're really, and he didn't have time much to find out who was there, where it was from. It would be nice. I would love to be able to get hold of that C-130 pilot that took care of me and I met a bunch of C-130 ladies that were flying the 130 in a different meeting, and I gave them a letter because it described all that, and they said they'd send it around and see if they could find somebody, but I haven't heard back, and that's been a year ago.
When you're up in the air and you're connected in a refueling operation, is turbulence ever a big factor?
Always a factor.
It is.
If you have a problem, well, first of all, it's a little complicated. If you're pulling in behind a tanker, and they have two big props on each side, and the props chop the air up and make it very turbulent on the right side. But you can pull it on the left side, and it's a little choppy out here until you get through this barrier, and then you get through the barrier and everything smooths out. And pulling in, to get into refueling to this over, you probably use 110 or 20% power to get in here. And then once you get inside this barrier, you can come back to 80% power. And everything is calm in here. That's the left side, right side. But you can handle it. It just depends. And then it depends on the conditions. If you're in the mountains and the winds are blowing up like that, that makes it very difficult. Ken, we don't need to do that.
Yeah, we need to get,
Oldest granddaughter.
Tell me what she was like.
When she started.
It's probably the areas he was in.
So she could, yeah, look at while she's sitting there.
Who said he was just
It was for a funeral. He's,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're
he's
fine.
a cousin or something, or up in West Bend.
I don't remember those trees being in Vietnam.
Pardon?
I don't remember those trees being in Vietnam.
Were all of you guys in Vietnam?
I was.
You were? No?
Well,
Some of us got unlucky.
I do know 68 was a bad year.
Yeah.
It was a bad, on the memorial they have a lot of names for 68.
if this is not, it's a mission, but we got some video of it, and it basically went through the same explanation we just went through. So Ken, if that's,
Yeah, I should be able to copy this and get it into our, it's a YouTube video, so it's just a matter of getting it onto the
What was your
internet.
toughest mission rescuing someone?
Where is this?
yeah, it was an actual rescue, and what it does show nicely, this doesn't show the helicopter in a rescue position. So if a guy is down here, and there's bad guys all around, and the Sandys would take care of them and make sure that we weren't getting shot at. And we didn't go in until the Sandys gave us the okay. Then we'd come in and there's probably, say, a lot of trees down here, so you can't land. So you come in right on top of them, and you bring a hoist down. Now, the hoist came down in the case of this video, but the guy on the ground was incapacitated. All he could do was lay on his back. So we sent a rescue guy down. So he went down the hook, and he went down with a basket, and they got the guy in the basket. And the guy in the basket was the guy that said, looks like a green giant.
Sure.
And then put the hook down, and then bring the hook up with the basket on it, and then bring the basket in, and put the hook down again and bring the shape up.
I think we got it, John.
And basically that's what
The largest and most powerful heavy lift helicopter to see action in Vietnam was the HH-53. In the hands of the Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Service, the Super Jolly Green Giants entered dangerous over 1,200 times to pull downed pilots to safety.
This is an enormously important morale factor when you know that if you're shot down, if you have to eject, that they're going to come in and get you, and they'll do anything that they have to do to get you.
After the aircraft flew up around me, I thought I was dead at first right there. You get that feeling, all of a sudden you're just dead. And when I got on the ground, I thought about that and what I was going to do next. It puts us down right over here on the other side of the trail.
Any ground fire that makes return fire with miniguns.
Johnny's over there. Okay, Jolly Green, this is Sandy 3. You got small Willie piece around. Right behind him. Hold the hover. Taking out the flag. Hold the hover. Hold the hover. Hold the hover. Flag down. Spider's coming up. Hold the hover, baby. Hold the hover. Looking good. Hold the hover. Hold the hover. Spider's coming up. About 10 foot off the ground. Hold the hover. Hold the hover. Hold the hover. Spider's coming up. Hold the hover. You're close to the tree. Hold the hover. It's like about 10 foot below the aircraft. 10 foot below the aircraft. Hold the hover, baby. Hold the hover. 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 Spider's in the door.
This is the pararescue guy and the survivor. Back on the hook.
Driver, finish the tour. Let's get the hell out of here. Okay, talk to me. We're coming out. Go on,
And the next thing is to get the hell out of here.
Follow that valley, Johnny.
The motto of the rescue service, that others may live.
Wow.
How many crew did you have on your helicopter typically?
5.
5? Okay.
And
I think it's the best job over here. I really like the idea of saving people.
This was my first combat save as an aircraft commander, and it's what I wanted always to do since I've been over here. It's just a super fantastic feeling.
The rescue of downed airmen in hostile territory is a dramatic story in itself.
I think I wouldn't have bet my last dollar that they wouldn't be around, and they put that thing right in the trees just about to get me out.
And actual rescue recovery, why, we're the force that actually goes in, right smack into where he's hanging in the trees in some cases, or where he's down deep in the jungle. Our flight crews, such as the flight engineers and the PJs we have in the back, are really a great bunch of guys.
As far as the job of pararescuing here, we're gunners, we're medics, we go down on the ground to get the survivor, we stay with the survivor if we have to,
And I direct the pilot over to the survivor, and then when the survivor gets on the penetrator and everything, gives me a thumb up indication, I start bringing him up.
It's our job to provide the protection for the Jolly Green Giants, and to do it we use this A1 position of hovering over the survivor. If somebody starts shooting, we immediately start shooting back.
During a SAR, there's generally a FAC in the area that becomes the first on-scene commander. When the whole effort is over, when the Nail or the FAC, the Sandy and the Jolly have all done their thing, and Jolly gets that man aboard, it's a pretty good feeling.
I was in clouds all the way down to the ground just about, and when I landed, that was part of my first thoughts too, was I better be prepared to stay here for a while, because there's not even going to be a way they can come in and get you out.
2-6 is down right over here on the other side of the trail.
After the aircraft blew up around me, I thought I was dead at first right there. You get that feeling, all of a sudden you're just dead. And when I got on the ground, I thought about that and what I was going to do next, and my wife and my dog back home and my house. And it just kind of pushes you on a little bit. You figure you made it that far, you were you're gonna get back okay.
Roger, we've got the Jollies at the holding point.
Okay, that looks pretty good. You should be here about another minute or so.
Roger, Neil, I have you in sight here, clear to mark.
Roger, and Neil's in the park with us. Okay, you guys tell me how much smoke.
That's perfect. Tell me how much smoke.
Okay, let's appreciate these all around in smoke there. It looks like about 47 or something coming out there.
That's what was remarkable about it. I never expected to see a helicopter that quick. And it's a pretty looking thing when you're standing down there and he comes in there.
Andy, you guys keep it open. Keep your eyes open. West to the high cars. Straight ahead on the top of the ridge line. Go ahead. I got it. Elliott aircraft. Got a fourth of the way down. You're clear right. Quarter of the way down. 5 feet off the ground. PJ's on the ground. Take your helm on. Okay, Charlotte Green 6 Air taking ground fire to 6 o'clock position, Sandy. Come and get him, come and get him. From the ridge line. Roger, taking ground fire to 7 o'clock position from the ridge line. Come and get him, Sandy. Charlie's over there. Okay, Charlie Green, this is Sandy 3. You got some more Willie Pete's right on you. Look at the fire, railroad. Okay, keep looking. Now, present 2 o'clock. Trees. Putting right behind him. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Taking out the slack. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Slack's out. Spider's coming up. Hold your hover, babe. Hold your hover. Looking good. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Spider's coming up. It's about 10 foot off the ground. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Spider's coming up. Hold your hover. You're close to the tree. Hold your hover. It's right about 10 foot below the aircraft. 10 foot below the aircraft. Hold your hover, babe. Hold your hover. 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 Spider's in the door. Driver coming in the door. Driver, finish secure. Let's get the hell out of here. Okay, talk to me. We're coming out. Go on, coming out. Coming out. Okay, right hand. Down that valley and get the know. Get the know. Get left and follow that valley, Charlie. Take him heading straight out of this valley here and down the saddle. We're following you.
If it hadn't been for the support I know we got when we first went in there, we'd have probably been shot down ourselves.
There's nothing greater than going up there, picking up a guy you know and ended up as being a POW or MIA if we didn't get in and get it. I just can't say enough about those guys. It's a heck of a way to find out how great they are, but when it happens, though, they're there 100% for you.
John, did you guys? John. Did you craft ever get hit? Did you ever get hit?
I dream myself a dream.
Did your craft ever get hit?
Ever get hit?
So
With small arms fire, yeah. I didn't personally know.
No. Your craft.
Yeah, well, that aircraft, I showed a couple of shots where bullet holes
but I said
coming into the cockpit window into the seat.
Usually when you're like over the rescue missions or
If you're getting shot at,
you just know when you land you got holes, huh?
John, was just wondering, it's like this, when you watch this, it feels like chaos, you know, when I'm watching this film of it. Did
all
it
started
feel like
as a
chaos, or
typical
were you hyper-focused
We had an
on the
0800 takeoff, and I was flying a
No,
flight lead,
if you're
leading the
not
warship.
hyper-focused on what
We
you're
were on
doing,
several targets
you're
that
not
day.
coming back.
First of all, we interdicted some roads that has blasted
Yeah,
craters in them
if-
so as
if
to
you
halt
don't
the flow of
have-
supplies down the Ho Chi Minh
Right,
Trail.
you're perfect.
Then we went after a
You're
suspected
not
truck
gonna
park.
Or if
You see, they
have
hide the trucks under the trees
And
during the day, so you can't see
whatever
them from the
trees
air.
are around
But our
the
FAC,
bump
forward air
into the tree or
controller,
whatever.
he figured he knew where they were.
And it-
So he marked the area with a smoke rocket. We were working over that target when the guns came up.
Dateline, Southeast Asia. Authorities reported the loss of one aircraft from ground fire. The pilot was rescued by helicopter. In that one line, there's a story. This is a story about that story. About that special breed of men who go into combat that others may live.
What is that rear blade to the helicopter?
Pardon?
The rear blade, the tail?
Tail rudder.
What does it do for the helicopter though? Keep it
It keeps it
steady?
going in the direction you want.
Okay.
If you think about the rotor, it's up here.
Yeah.
Good morning, it'll be 0445
400
in
RPM.
10 seconds.
Right.
And if the rotor's turning this way, it's going to make the helicopter want to turn that way. And if you don't have to stop that motion, then the helicopter could. I had a situation once. But this is way off the story, but I was in Norway, and the helicopter service in Norway, they just got a new computer, and they wanted to show me what it's like to lose the tail rotor. So I went up with an instructor and the simulator, when we got out, I don't know how many feet, and the guy shut the tail rotor down, and the aircraft, like that. And the only way to correct that I know of, would be to try to get the aircraft starting flying straight forward, so you get enough air on the tail rotor, so the tail rotor becomes the thing that steers you.
Oh.
But it's, fortunately, it was only once in a simulator, never happened again. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank
you.
Wow, thank you, John.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
This was terrific. I enjoyed it so much. And thank you, maybe for your part, actually.
Oh, well,
For your service.
it was my pleasure. I joined the Air Force because I wanted to. I could have stayed home and owned a big construction company, but I didn't do that. And then look at me and say, "What's wrong with you?" I don't know. I'm here still. And I thank everybody for coming. And Ken and Kathleen really put together a lot of effort.
Thank you. This was fun.
Thank you, Ken.
Very well, very well.
You want to get out first?
I can get out, but you
Go.
want me to pull you out?
No.
Or should I push it? You pull it.
No, I'll be